Good afternoon, humanoids. I am here with a very special guest, Dr. Sayida. Welcome to On the 5HZ, Sayida.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Actually, this channel has been in the process over many years talking with my wonderful friend here who is a master at natural birthing. She has her own business, nonprofit as well, along with many other things that she does with humanity and society and pro-women, pro-life. And she was my personal doula as well. My daughter, Farrell, was the first hands that she actually touched. I had a home natural water birth, 3.5-day labor, and my sister right here was next to me the whole way through for those 3.5 days.
As was Nyame.
As was
my little one.
Her littlest one at the time was 3 months old when my daughter Farrell was born. We're going to definitely get into my story, but I really want to introduce the world to Dr. Sayida because she does some really amazing work. She is a spiritual healer, even though she's a doctor of psychology and has worked in the men's prison system, which is a lot and very heavy, considering here you have life, birth, and death.
Yeah.
You know, very interesting. So I'm going to give the floor to Sayida, Dr. Sayida, so she can tell us a little bit more about her mission, what she does, and anyone that's giving natural birth or considering natural birth, this is definitely something that you need to listen to and watch, because I feel that now in this day and age, so many women have gotten away from natural birth. And as a matter of fact, I've gotten a lot of slack and fire for having a natural home water birth myself. It brings up a lot of insecurities and a lot of questions for women where we feel in this day and age that we can't do it ourselves, which is not the case. So please, if there's anything that you want to share with us, because you have so much information, and this is the reason why I feel so grateful and blessed that you're here with me today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you.
So are we talking to them or am I talking
We're talking anyway.
Okay.
I will edit. It doesn't matter.
Okay. How was the first one done? Was she talking to them or she was talking to you?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Both.
Okay. So I think my life in my professional career is all over the place, like for the world, like, oh, you're a psychologist and you're a doula and you do training and consulting and you teach, but all of it is like to anchor what I consider to be, sort of like the natural intuitive way of living. And so that kind of goes through my life in the birthing world. It kind of goes through my life in the psychology world and in the teaching world. I think how you met me as a doula, well, I mean, we met in a community setting.
And spiritual.
But even in that, like just how I even connect to my clients is like, we had a spiritual connection. There was some like intention behind us coming together that was beyond just the birthing. And so then the birthing became, sort of like a life experience that was more than just that. And to me, all of the work that I do is like this wave and net of all of like the intentions in my life coming together. So let's see. What do you think I should talk about first?
I would love for you to talk about your experience on how women approach you, the questions that they have when it comes to, especially after having after the first child.
Yeah.
Okay, the first child is the one where we are so filled with fear.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on. We don't know what to expect. We're listening to the society and the system telling us that we need to do it this way, as opposed to listening to our inner guidance as queens and doing things in the natural way that women have been doing it for so many years. I really would like for you to discuss your experience in seeing the woman who's chosen natural conscious birthing and who is not.
Well, I think a lot of it too is like a person's readiness. So I feel like on like sort of a societal level, women, particularly in America, we've generally like been very removed from a natural living, right? So we are pregnant in very industrialized society. People aren't like focusing on the mother in our society. So when you're pregnant, everybody's thinking, oh, she needs nutrition, she needs time, she needs rest. Let's set the world up for her so that she can give birth and have mothering time in a very supportive way. Like, that's not what's happening. We're giving birth and being pregnant in an industrialized society. So if we're working, people expect us to be 100% from start to finish. And if we're not, we have to ask for accommodations. We have to advocate for ourselves for what we need, rather than in a traditional society. It's set up that everybody knows a mother is going to need rest. Everybody knows that a woman who gives birth is going to need time, right, after, to recuperate, to bond. But we don't have a system that's set up like that. So I think if you are coming from like zero on that world, like you've been raised in this industrialized society, you don't have any connection to what it would look like to have a natural experience, and not just natural as in like no medications or not having like medical augmentation, but also sort of like the way that it would be if we were living in traditional communal society. And so if you don't have any concept for that, approaching a home birth like you did in the water and you know, with midwives and doulas assisting is completely far-fetched, because you also aren't primed to trust yourself, to believe in yourself, to believe that there's a natural course of things, because the belief that you can do it, because the industrialized system says there is a system and you're in this system, and then the system tells you what you do here. So you go to school into that system, and the school tells you what to do. You don't say, I'm really interested in computers, and then you go to a place where your interest is like guiding what you learn. You go and they say you're going to learn blah 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 blah, and then we're going to determine when you learn that, and then we're going to move you on to the next shift.
That's why it's so important for us to do this interview, is because to raise awareness with women in this day and age and time, that we have gotten so far away from our natural roots as women. And we do not even believe that we're capable of doing this anymore.
But really, are you though? And the thing is, you are capable.
Yes.
But if you don't like have any connection to that.
Well, if I didn't have you, listen, my birth brought, my mom went nuts. You know, Sayida can tell you. What do you mean you're having a home birth? What do you mean? What's going on here? It literally messed everything up.
Anxiety provoking for a lot of people.
It brought fear up for everyone. And I was like, yo, you got to get away from me, because I have to protect this energy here, and I have to really trust in, which is what having Sayida as a doula was so influential in my life, because we were doing crystal bowls.
Yes.
We were praying.
Like healing sound
meditations. We
aligning
were
the chakras.
Aligning the chakras. I was getting coconuts cracked and doing superfood shakes, okay? We were staying in exercise. We were keeping the mind right, okay? And you do need to have a coach. Literally, a doula is a
because this system
coach.
Doesn't really, like, if you don't hire somebody, if you don't bring somebody into your life, if you don't find someone that could be a support who knows how to support in that way, then what you have left is your doctor, who, as well-meaning as many doctors are, and as trained as they are for intervening when there's a need, and for providing like safety measures and assessing risk, which is essential. Like you need to have people who are trained, as midwives are also trained, right? And so, but without someone to help you as an individual in that journey, beyond just the medical part, right? Beyond just, well, how far along are you, and you know, how's it progressing? You don't have gestational diabetes, right? If everything's fine, it's not enough just to be a healthy woman and have a baby that's growing. Like, you actually need to be preparing yourself for the experience of giving birth and then mothering, which none of the system is set up for. None of it is set up to actually prepare you to go into that process.
Well, they keep it technical.
You're alive. You're healthy.
You're going to have postpartum.
Right.
Yay! No, okay. But, you know, and that's another thing. You know, there's so many layers to this.
But no, I want to go back to continue on the frame of what you had said first. Like, the women don't know that they can do it, or that they don't feel confident. So if you are a woman that doesn't have any context for your like natural connection, like you haven't been trained to believe in yourself, you've been trained to go into systems, including a hospital or a doctor's office, you went to school, you went to college, you went to, you know, your job trained you, and everywhere you go, you're getting information from the outside that's coming to you, and now I know what to do because I got this certification, I got this award, and then you basically don't think that there's a place in you that you go where you get information.
Well, you know, it's just so important to know your own body and listen to your own intuition and your own guidance. And, you know, God bless doctors and, you know, people who have their credentials, absolutely, okay? At the same time, you cannot tell me what my body is telling me.
Yeah.
You can't.
But a real doctor,
Yes.
a doctor of any, form, should actually like have in their training and in their mindset that it's not just you assessing like external things,
Yes.
but also how is a person feeling, especially in pregnancy and childbirth.
That's
because
emotional intelligence.
when you're in,
here.
right, exactly.
Yeah, you're talking
when
about
you're in
emotional
labor,
intelligence
you
here.
can look on the monitor and see how the baby's doing. You can look on the monitor and see blood pressure for mom, but you can't. There's the for instance, like with your birth.
Mhm.
Sula had a long birth, y'all.
Yeah.
We were in
I was a squatting
active
fool.
labor for 3 days.
Squatting fool.
The sun rose 3 times
Yes.
in this labor in the house
It sure did.
while we're just there breathing and grinding and
Yes.
meditating
Yes.
and really just staying with it. And
Yes.
I've been in 3-day births in a hospital setting.
Yes.
And the difference, in a space where, and to be clear, Sula had a midwife who was licensed and certified and trained and
Yes.
attended her. And I was there as a doula. But when you have a team that believes in not just the physical assessment, and you were being, assessed, she was checking heart tones and all that
Correct.
stuff, but also like we were tuning into you. How is Sula taking this?
Mhm.
Like, how is she feeling? Does it look like Sula can go another day?
You know what's very interesting?
Another day. Like, this is a rock
You know
star
what? I
right
could
here.
have probably gone another day.
I promise you. But that's the difference. In a hospital, they won't say,
Yes.
oh, can she do it? Like, does it look like mom's sticking into it? I've been in with it at 24 hours, and they're like, what, mom's going to get tired.
Yes.
We feel like we're just going to need a C-section now because
Yes.
there's no point because the baby's going to get tired. And it's like, going to get, or are we at that right now?
That's right.
But Sula's like, this is what she wanted to do.
Mhm.
And if we're rocking and rolling, the baby's
Yes.
healthy, mom's healthy, we're still
That's
here.
why it's
You know what I
important to
mean?
have a
So,
really
yeah.
someone that
Yeah.
resonates, that you feel like has your best interest and knows what you want.
Yeah.
Sayida and I, we sat down and we talked. She was very clear on because I was clear on what I wanted. At the same time, I depended on her guidance, her professional guidance, and her spiritual guidance in being able to trust myself and knowing what. Since this was my first experience, I could have definitely been overtaken by fear, which we all do. But instead, that was my mother.
Right.
That's my
fear role.
Yeah, like
And-
how are you going to sit in the corner with your Bible in fear reading? I don't know. Anyways,
But you know what? But it was sweet though, because this happens a lot, especially
Yes.
with parents.
Yes.
And again, going back to what we started with, when you are raised in Western society, which teaches you that the only way to be safe is for somebody else, usually a man
Yes.
in power,
Yes.
to be able to tell you, yes, you're safe. Now you feel safe. Then you don't feel safe, right?
That's
So
right.
you had developed a whole nother level of training and feeling
Yes.
safe within yourself,
Correct.
and connecting to
And
your midwife, trusting the team,
Yes.
trusting the energy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so a lot of women though, like, they're afraid when they hear your birth because they feel and know that where they're at in their consciousness and the
Yes.
way that they're moving in their life,
Yes.
that they couldn't even go to a space like that.
You know
and
what?
you can't move in fear. We
No.
could not do that with you if you were terrified.
Correct. At the same
Right.
time, it's once again your supporting team makes the biggest difference. Okay, I needed people around me that supported my vision of how I wanted to give birth. Okay, and I was very capable and healthy to do that. At the same time, I am going to be honest with you. My birth, the way I chose to give birth, really pokes at other women. Well, that's the way you did it. No, you know what? You can do it too. Okay, you have the power to birth naturally. We've been doing it since we've been on this planet. Okay, it's not something outside of you. This is so important, such an important topic, because as women, you are powerful.
Yeah.
You have the power to give birth naturally. Okay. There are so many things in regards to birthing that we are unaware of. For instance, nutrition.
Yes.
Okay. No, it's not a time to eat whatever you want. Okay.
Right.
That's the misconception. So many misconceptions. All right. Thinking, what you're thinking, your fears transfer into your child. Okay. It's a sacred movement and a sacred time. And you, my friend, okay, are so tapped into that sacred divine connection. Okay. That it's imperative. You cannot sway. You have to pick a side, people.
Yes.
Fear or not,
100%. And this is the thing, and I'll say this as a doula, who, but as a psychologist, someone who works with people who are trying to move through and who are in transitional spaces in their lives and want to make choices. If you are in fear, get your mind right first.
That's right.
If you were in fear,
Yes.
get your mind right first.
Get your mind
Because,
right.
you know, it's not, natural birth is also, it's not a game. Like, it's not, if you, like, so I always, my thing is, if people say, I say, oh, I want a natural birth. But, you know, if it gets critical, I'm fine with the epidural.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I'm not, no judgment on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I always want people
No
to know,
judgment.
if that's where you're at, like, well, a natural birth will be great, but, you know, I mean, I you know, but I don't know if I could do it. So if I need to, I'll use an epidural.
What are you
right?
choosing?
If you have that, like, sort of out for yourself, I promise you birth will bring you to your knees, and you will very likely want to say, oh, is there another way? Let me do that. And that's just because you just haven't decided that that's what you're doing.
There we go.
And it's literally just a choice. Now, I'm not talking about if you've had some kind of medical situation where you need an epidural or some, you know, there's some extensive situation. I'm just saying the neutral, healthy situation where a woman is saying, I want that or not. And you cannot have that, and that's totally fine. Or have it and it's totally fine, you know.
But don't be hating.
Yeah, don't be hating when people do that. But also,
don't do it.
Don't, you know, but if you have fear about it,
yes,
like, get information. Like,
yes,
talk to people.
That's
because
why we're here.
I think one of the things I know I did with you, and I do a lot with moms, whether I'm consulting with them or just like, or they're my client. I'm like, let's watch some videos about birth with women who use no intervention and who had very little people coming in and out, so that you could see a woman's power. Like, you could actually get that imprinted in your mind and in your spirit. We watched some videos.
Did you give me?
I did.
So I'm glad that we're talking about this, because, you know, this was 8 years ago, 9 years ago. So there was a video. It was about the woman giving the birth in the ocean.
Yes.
Okay, so
Birth
you gave
as
it
we
to me.
know it. That was mine. Yes.
Birth
I gave
as
it.
we know it.
Yes.
We will be providing the information below.
Yeah, I got the trailer on my
So
website.
I'm watching this video, and the first thing I said to myself was, this woman is literally reaching out and delivering her own baby, okay? In the ocean, all right? Okay, yeah. That's a little far-fetched for some of us. I get it. You know, we want something more sanitary or confined or restricted. But I watched this video, and it was so powerful. There was a technique in the video that came to me when I was giving birth, which is very interesting because...
I don't know this.
Yes, here's some new information. So here I am in this Japanese soaking tub, and Sayida's in the tub with me. Okay, and Pharaoh is like coming out, okay? She is ready to come. And the thing that came to me in my head from this video was she was gyrating her hips like a belly dancer because it created a funnel, okay, a suction for the baby to just come out, okay? Now, this wasn't a conscious thought of mine. I really just thought this video was kind of really out there and crazy. Okay, it's crazy. But it was dope. It was so different. What's wrong with looking at something that you wouldn't normally
look at? You gotta break your mind. Your mind has to be like, what?
Yes.
Is that possible?
Yes.
Because then it's like
That's
shaking up the lie. It's shaking up the lie that it's not possible.
I remember I was shaking my head saying, this is how it... Who does this?
Yeah.
We don't... You know what it is? We don't see
that.
it.
We don't see that. We don't see the power of birth.
We don't see it. And so I'm in the tub, and all of a sudden I do this. It comes to me. Just gyrate like a belly dancer. I mean, as far as I could go, I was 40-pound stomach, right? I did it, and Pharaoh was coming out so fast I had to stop. I don't know if you remember. I had to stop and just breathe.
Yes.
Now, I didn't consciously think. My body knew.
Right. And those of us in the birth work, we know that there is a time where, as you're pushing, you need to stop.
You need to stop.
You need to
they don't
let stuff
tell you
stretch
this.
out. You
If
but
I
Sue was
didn't
doing
stop,
this on her own.
yes, I was, because I was tapped in. Okay, and I had you, and I had Davey, my midwife, around me. I had the support that I needed, the spiritual support that I needed, and the only thing that I asked from people was at the baby shower, I gave candles, and I think it was you or Philip had sent out a text saying everyone light their candles and send out prayers, positive prayers for Pharaoh. Okay, and that's pretty much what it was, right? So one, who do you have around you? What are they telling you? What are they feeding you? Are they feeding you that positive energy, or are they feeding you your fears so you don't move forward in your power? I mean, what is going on?
Yeah.
Right?
And if you're afraid, that just means you don't have enough information.
Yes.
Or that there's something that you don't know, and so it's like, oh, I don't know. So get the knowledge, right? So that's the thing. Like, especially if you are like somebody who's like, I would love to do the natural birth thing, but I feel like it just feels like whatever. Of course, it's unknown. It's foreign. We don't live in a world where women are giving birth on their own.
Yes.
Nobody trusts that. Everybody, including your doctor, will tell you, well, you know, unless. So you need like to get information. You need to watch videos of people who have done it. You need to talk to midwives that are in your local area and have conversations with them about whatever your concerns are, because there are people who are trained and certified and licensed and capable who do this. Like in the world, the midwifery model is the model that women give birth under.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What does a woman do, okay, when she's pregnant and it's her partner that is fearful, and it's her partner that wants her to go to the hospital, and the last thing that you need is a battle, you know, during this time. If people aren't on the same page, it happens, okay?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate,
Yeah.
you know, because we have a conscious choice at every moment to choose what we want to experience, okay? That is law. So what does one do? What advice would you give a woman that where their husband is like, no, babe, you're not gonna do natural birth because it scares the crap out of me?
Well, I would say two things. The revolutionary woman in me, the woman who wishes that she could go back and have a conversation with herself the first time, would say, you're going to be giving birth, and he's going to be sitting somewhere. Or standing somewhere and watching you. Whether he's holding your hand or he's rubbing your back, he is not going to be giving birth.
That's right.
So be clear that whatever comes of it, if you are not in alignment with the way you did it.
Now, when you say alignment, I'm going to interrupt.
Okay.
When you say alignment, a lot of people don't know what that means.
So if you don't feel convicted that this is the birth I want, like so. You giving birth is your experience, right? And everybody's sharing in it, but they're sharing in your experience, physically your experience. So if you feel like this is what I want, this is what I created, like this is the experience that I want to have, and you feel good about it, then you're going to have more energy and power behind that, right? And if you go into the hospital because he said that he feels uncomfortable, and you're like going to be agitated with all the interventions that they want to offer you, or irritated at the sterileness of the environment, and that they keep the lights on, and that they ding, 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 and stuff beeping all day long. If that's going to be a bother to you, at some point when it's all over, you might turn around, look at him, and be like, you know what? All of your fears, like, what did that have anything to do with? Because I had to give birth. So for me, it's like, so that's one, right? That's like sort of on the side. First, I would say is, just like I say to women, if you're afraid, get some information. If he's afraid, get some information. Like as a couple, go together, do childbirth education classes, sit with a midwife, sit with doulas, watch videos together. Some of the most powerful people that I know who are advocates for natural birth are men. Because like my husband, who was afraid, and I wanted a home birth and a natural water birth, and he was like, I just don't feel like it. The first baby, we should do this.
Mind you, Saida's husband is straight from Africa, and he's having, honestly, if you think about it, you think more natural birthing over there.
Potentially, but there's a lot of colonization, right? So they also haven't fed the lie that like the traditional way is going to kill you, and that, the medical way is
you may die.
Right.
You're like, listen, honestly, like,
people die in the hospital.
Enough fear. Okay.
Like, so with the right training and information, midwives successfully assist births all over the world. Right. That's like a real thing, and people in America, we don't realize that that's a real thing because our dominant system is a medical system.
Correct.
But the midwifery system works still actually in our system as well. But when you look at other first world nations of Europe, of Australia, we see a very thriving midwifery work community that really has better outcomes in a lot of ways. But going back to the men, so if you get information together, a lot of times the men will realize, oh, wait a second, some of this makes my wife actually safer. Like some of this is actually gonna make sure that we have power to make choices for ourselves that we want to have. In the hospital, we might lose some of that power, or we might have to sign away our rights to that power.
That's so
it's just
interesting.
a system.
Why?
It's an industrial system. Systems have to have our systems, as the world is now, have checkpoints and decisions, and if you fall within them, you're in that system, and if you fall without, then you got to accommodate in that system. When you do a home birth, this is my system. This is my couch. You know what I mean? This is my water. That's your birth tub.
What the system tells you is, oh, you want to do it on your own? Then you're going to do everything on your own. You're going to pay for everything on your own.
Yes.
And I'm going to leave you hanging on your own.
Yeah.
And that's the way
and that's not cool, because
it's not.
Interestingly,
where's the support? Where's the
and
love,
also that doesn't match the global model that shows us that midwifery care is sufficient, is healthy, is safe. And really provides, especially for women of color, for people who are, not say high risk as in medical high risk, but people who, for social reasons, need more support, which I feel all American women need, because our system is not supportive from mothers. But certainly less supportive from mothers that are poor, that don't have a partner, that are managing with a lot of children without resources. Then you need a model that comes to your home to care for you, versus one where you got to go to every appointment out somewhere else. You know, there's so many aspects of it that are just like so healing for the problems in the system. But yeah, so, my husband, full disclosure, was not comfortable. I didn't want to have the fight. I made peace with somewhere in between that. So I got a doula. I had midwifery care. I had planned to have a water birth experience in a hospital that I ended up not having the water birth. Because the nurses thought, oh, it's your first time, you're going to take forever, we'll wait until you're ready, and then I had the baby in 3 hours.
Listen,
again, not
people,
listening.
Once again, listen to your intuition, listen to yourself, listen to your baby and what your baby's telling you. My labor went 3.5 days because my sac didn't break. Remember?
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Correct. So now,
that's right.
So
that's right.
Here's some very
and your cord was
this.
That was crazy. I still think about it.
My daughter was like
big.
So
it was like a
close
half a foot.
It's
her
crazy.
umbilical cord.
Usually umbilical cord is how long?
Oh, come on.
I mean, it's like as long as my body. Mine was this long. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
It
was crazy. And it made perfect sense once the baby came and we saw that cord, why your labor took that long.
Exactly.
For you to come
but
all
if I went to the hospital,
so that you could deliver,
it would have been a problem. Correct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was literally in squat. I was in squat position for 3 days. 3 days. Seriously, I couldn't have done it. Without you. I'm gonna post some pictures. So
are you now?
If you guys are a little queasy, I would not recommend you look at them.
I haven't seen these pictures.
I will be editing. You're gonna send them to me because you have them.
I know that's right.
You have them. It was literally life changing from, of course, the moment I got pregnant, right? But I could not have done it without you. There's
you
no
prepared
way.
yourself.
But I prepared myself. And I got the right team with me in order for me to be able to execute my vision, even though every single person except for my team was not on my team.
So let's just prescribe for people what it looks like. So the team, if you were going to have a home birth, looks like
midwife.
A midwife. So this is a person who's licensed and certified to provide out of hospital birth. Everything that you would need to do that, they're going to assess that. If you think, woman, what if I'm too high risk? A midwife is qualified to identify if you're too high risk to have a home birth, and they will then connect you to services that are more appropriate. So you're not sort of like giving your life to some unknown witchcraft situation, right? This is a person who knows.
Excuse me.
It's okay. A midwife is a woman who knows exactly how to assess your readiness for a home birth. Now that's the physical part, right? Your actual health status and your all that. They do your prenatals, they do your postpartum. You don't ever have to touch a hospital if you don't want to, if you have a midwife, and that's all wrapped up. And ultrasounds and midwives are covered by several types of insurances.
That's correct.
And Medicaid, which is Medi-Cal in California. So the other thing is then what she's saying is you also want to have a doula. Now the doula's role is your emotional support, is to sit there with you. Our midwife, bless her heart, at some point, and she actually had another birth, I think, at the beginning. She needed to go eat. She needed to go rest.
She was like, girl.
They come in and out, right? Like the midwife typically does not necessarily, and I know some midwives are like, I stay the whole time. so be it. But not all midwives will stay the entire birth. But the doula,
yes,
we tend to be the ones that are like, I'm sleeping on the bed with you
literally,
while you're breaking.
She was, and not only that, I had to do remember I almost had back labor, so I had to do, on day 2.5, I had to do exercises.
Yes, we had to do pressure.
I had to be strong. There are things that you have to do in order to prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, in order to have a child. It's not just, it is a divine experience, and I feel like you absolutely played that role for me emotionally and spiritually, not just emotionally, okay? Because even if your husband or your man or, is there for you, they absolutely do not have the same understanding that a woman does that has had children and has had this experience, okay? I'm trusting in this woman because she's already been there, okay? And handled it with grace and beauty, okay? You can actually be pregnant and feel great. I did.
Yeah.
Okay? I truly did. And, we will at some point be discussing postpartum depression. We'll be discussing a number of other things that come along with this journey because it's a long journey. It's a very long journey, and many women don't have the tools.
Yeah.
I have several friends of mine that just had babies for the first time, and they're like, I think I'm experiencing postpartum depression. I think something's going on and I don't know, and that's cool because that's why we're here to raise awareness. That's why Dr. Sayida is here to talk about these issues. I freeze-dried my placenta. A lot of people think that is nuts, okay? A lot of people think, guess what? Not every woman can breastfeed, okay? Many women rather drink cow milk, give their child cow milk, than give another woman's breast milk. That's a whole nother issue here we can be discussing because people find it disgusting, which is insane to me. We're all the same.
Yeah.
We all come from the same. I mean, if I couldn't do it, you'd be in a hot second. Can you breastfeed my child? And a lot of people think it's really disgusting.
It's the traditional way. And again, we think that because we're not living in a traditional society or even one that even remembers traditional wisdom. So women from the beginning of time, sometimes there will be complications where the woman wouldn't be able to nurse, or maybe she dies, and there's a baby that doesn't have a mother to suckle, or whatever. Women have always stepped in to nurse other people's babies since the beginning of time. And black women in America breastfed all the white people's babies. You know what I mean?
Can you say that again?
We've been doing that for generations. And so
that?
this idea, you know what I mean? Just, with people who don't know, that, enslaved women in America were the wet nurses for the master's families and for white families in the communities for hundreds of years. And even post-slavery, that tended to be a way to have employment and to, people still wanted to not have to breastfeed their babies and then give it to a wet nurse. So even, it's funny because, in the world and, that people in America, people have forgotten something that was not that long ago that was like standard protocol to have somebody nursing your baby. And that was, but of course, formula is going to somebody's pocket. That's money, right? That's not giving your sister money to care for your baby. That's money to a corporation. So we're an industrialized society, and I'll go back to that 1,000 times. That impacts everything that we do.
It does. Also, what impacts is, a woman. Listen, the body goes through a lot of changes, okay? And there are many women, and we know many of them, okay, that literally are fearful of their bodies changing because, our body has a different role now, okay? So many women will not breastfeed their child and give their child nutrients because they're afraid that their physicality may change. Honestly, we've gotten away from what really matters.
Your stomach will get flatter faster because your uterus is going to contract faster. You're going to lose weight faster. That's the other part where people don't think about. They think breastfeeding, my breasts are going to become saggy. And that's like out, one way or the other, whether or not that's actually truly accurate, that your breasts are going to change so drastically from breastfeeding.
Though. Think about it, like where in society we just see women's breasts as a sexual thing. which is the reason why when they do change, they're not looked at in the same manner. You know, I think it's so wrong, all right? Because once again, we're talking about this is a divine experience, okay? This is something that we have lost connection.
Hold on, I gotta stop this because they're loud and that is
Here,
terrible.
yeah.
Hey!
The kids are going nuts, though.
Simmer down. Leave that.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't stop it. And that's our children. You know, we gave birth to like 11 years later. So I was discussing how we've really gotten away from the divinity, okay, of the whole experience. And I can truly say that, speaking from experience, because I had a natural birth. I was raw. I was raw vegan during my pregnancy. I didn't feel like I needed to eat meat once. All my supplements, I did not take supplements from the doctor. I took food-based supplements, which a lot of people don't know about.
Right. And I'll just say quickly, one of the benefits of food-based supplements is it's not like you're saying don't take the prenatal, the vitamins that they say you should take as a pregnant woman. But in the whole food option, your body integrates it easier. So when I took prenatals that was prescribed, I became super nauseous.
And constipated.
And constipated. And I'm thinking, oh, this is like, you know, it's what is it? What is the thing where you're nauseous in the morning?
Morning sickness.
Morning sickness, right? Then some sister in the community was like, sis, it's probably the prenatal vitamins. I'm like, do you think so? She's like, well, just try a whole food based vitamin.
Yes.
I go to Whole Foods. I take the bottle and I compare the actual vitamins to the superfood shake that they have there. This has even more folic acid, more vitamin D, more all the things they say you have.
From a food-based.
From a food-based.
Synthetic-based vitamin, okay? And no one is saying, no one is judging, okay? We're just saying that a synthetic-based vitamin is literally purged out of your system.
Synthetic and the way that they have to bind things together that otherwise wouldn't bind.
It's not natural for the body.
Your body can become constipated. It can get very nauseous because of the connection with the iron and other things. So once I realized that, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Because now I don't have morning sickness. And I feel with more energy and I feel better. And so, again, like just small things of like taking the power back. Because that's like you saying, how do I feel? Like it's not like, oh, the doctor said I should do this and this means I'm healthy. But I still don't feel well. So you're like, I want to feel optimal. So I'm going to eat raw. Even if somebody's saying, oh, well, you should add meats to your diet. But I don't feel good when I eat meat in my diet. Right? Like,
I had so many people tell me so many things that, no, this is not, you're not doing it right yet. I was absolutely so happy when I was pregnant. I had so many men come up to me and say, I've never seen a pregnant woman so happy, right? We're not used to seeing that. I was doing handstands at 8.5 months pregnant, okay? I felt amazing. I had enough. I could have, honestly, it was a 3.5 day labor.
And she was active.
I was
not
active.
3.5. Like we're just
in
like
the
talking
bed
about
and
it.
waddling and feeling sorry for myself.
It was intense. And the thing is, like, there was slow progression. So a typical birth that lasts that long, people would start worrying. Maybe there's a lack of progress. It was. You're moving a 0.5 centimeter every 5 hours. You know what I mean? Like, but you could see that there was some movement. But it was slow, and you stayed with it, and that's still one of the most impressive things I've ever witnessed.
But I tell you what, thank you very much, thank you, and I couldn't have done it without you. But honestly, I felt amazing, and I had an amazing birth and an amazing pregnancy. But because I had the information, I had the tools, I had the team, okay, and I also had my intuition, all right, and I was so tapped into God. There was no. It's like either you're gonna choose fear or you're gonna choose God, okay? And I'm talking about God, the white man with the beard. I'm talking about, you know,
the creative
intelligent universe, okay? And I had to tap into that and tap into all of the women from the past that I absolutely did not know, our ancestors, okay? The female ancestors that have already done it, okay? Done it with ease and grace, done it in the forest, done it consciously, okay? And it's not something outside of you, but thank goodness I talked to my sister, and she said, oh, I had to puncture my sac. Okay, that was a key piece of information, and found out that my mother had to also puncture her sac. It's very important.
So that the water didn't break on its own, that at some point the midwife or the doctor needed to break the water.
Yes, but guess what? People were telling me, you're blocking yourself, okay? You're not allowing yourself, you must release. But meanwhile, my sac wasn't breaking, okay? And really, that's
and for good reason, as we learned, because of the positioning of the baby and the length of that umbilical cord, was like she needed to have she needed to be fully encased to stay alive until you got all the way down into readiness to be able to push her out. Like,
you gotta trust.
It's one of those things that for me was like, as a doula, as somebody watching birth, it was like, oh, everything is like by divine design. Because most people would say 3 days, there's something wrong.
Yes.
And at some point, we were all like, you know, and the thing is, because you were 100%, and we were all looking to see, like, how is Sula feeling? She's rocking and rolling with this. This thing takes 3 days.
I could have taken,
you know, okay. we're still in the game because you were in the game. You know what I mean? And even, you know, the best doula, you cannot override a woman's willpower.
You hear this?
You can give her, you can say, I believe in you. But until you know, unless that's your own knowing, we're just rocking and rolling wherever you go. And we're saying, I support you wherever you go. And if you decided at day 2, you're going to the hospital, that's where we're going.
I wasn't going to the
hospital.
But she was going. Okay? You know? And I'm going to tell you a funny story about my mother. Okay? I love my mother, okay? She's the bomb, all right? But here I am in mid-squat, okay? Like this. And my mom whispers in my ear as I'm like having like labor pains, it's time for you to go to the hospital. I was like, get her away from me.
And I think I went to the bathroom at that time.
I was like, Sayida.
I sort of had a rule that I was like not leaving her in the room with her mother. I love her mother, and I say this with complete love.
Yes.
But I work with a lot of mothers in birth with their daughters or daughters-in-law, and it's hard for them because of their own experiences.
Yes.
And I've learned that, like, I'm also a doula for the mother and for the partners.
Yes.
And I really doula your mama.
Emotional support. Honestly, if you don't have the emotional support from someone who's trained and licensed, absolutely. But Sayyida's tapped in. She's tapped in spiritually, energetically, emotionally. She's very tapped in, okay? She listens to her own intuition and her own guide as well, okay? Which is why everything was so amazing, okay? It really was an amazing experience, and this is the reason why we're even recording this. We've talked about this for years, you know, and I feel it's so important for everyone to understand what Sayida does, okay, and on the level of how she does it. I'm encouraging you, there's going to be her information passing down at the bottom of the screen. If you have any questions of any sort, she has been there for me. If God blesses me with another child, she'll be there for me again, okay, in the forest this time.
Let's do it.
You know, that's what I'm doing in the forest.
I go where you go.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta have your team. You know, you gotta have, like, even if she wouldn't do it the way I do, she supports me in the way I would want to do it.
And I wasn't down for eating my placenta. Now, so she was like, "What do you think about that?" I was like, "If that's what you want to do, we will find someone to encapsulate your placenta."
We did.
Now, in retrospect, you know, I realized, I said, you know, maybe if I had another baby, I might do that, because I've now witnessed enough of that. And also, too, because of just my own, I bled a lot the first time. And so I learned that had I done that, that actually probably would have curbed that entirely. I respect it. But yeah, again,
it was whatever. Yes, I did eat my placenta, not raw, people. I didn't put it on the grill. It was freeze-dried, put into pills. I'm going to give you some background information on eating your placenta, is that, think about this. This is a reason why many women often suffer from postpartum depression, is all the nutrients that you're eating is in the sac with the baby, okay? When it all comes out, all of the nutrients are out of your body and you're completely depleted. So you take that placenta and freeze dry it and put those back into your system, okay? Helps balance you.
It balances out hormones. It helps balance out, for sure, your iron, which you lose, not necessarily a lot of blood, but you lose more than you would have lost in a regular day. And so you need replenishing, you
Yes.
know, and especially because, again, we don't have a system that is ready to support the mother, to give her the special soups and to take care of her and to give her nutritional shakes. Moms go home and people are like, oh, you had a nice baby, and they expect you to still cook for yourself and take care of yourself and cook for the baby and take care of the baby. And so, you know, a lot of women could use a little boost of nutrition and energy.
And there are certain foods that women cannot eat, especially while breastfeeding, right? That cause a lot of gas for you and the baby.
Right.
You know, there's certain, you cannot be eating salads.
Right, or broccoli.
You have to juice them.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So there's tons of information that have fallen through the cracks. It's been there, but we're bringing it back.
Yeah.
And we're bringing up, raising the consciousness and raising the standards, okay, of how we're choosing to live our life and give birth.
Yes.
Okay? So if you're looking for a doula, you're pregnant, you want to change, something's not working for you, I'm encouraging you to work with this woman right here, because she is just on another level, and I have so much respect and gratitude for her. She sees things in a way that no one sees, from the fifth dimension into the third. If you don't know about all that, don't worry, we'll talk about it on another segment. But we're on the 5HC with me, Sula, and Dr. Sayida.
Peace.
If you have any questions, I'm going to post her Instagram link on the bottom of the page as well. You're more than welcome to reach out to her. We're just so grateful to have you here with us, Sayida. This has been years in the process.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to leave our guests with? Something that...
If this interests you, it means it's time to get more information. It's time on this planet for women to wake up, to know our power, to anchor into the wisdoms that have always existed, and first and foremost exist within us, that you could tap into without any book or any video. But it's so powerful that we live in such a high-tech society, because you have people like the Sulas of the world and women out there that are giving information online and on social media, so that you can tap into a frame of information and then now like sort of allow it to unfold in yourself. So, you know, just know that everything that was spoken here is like real, tried, tested, and possible and available to you.
That's right. You can do it too.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you.
She saved me again.